What's going on, guys? I'm back with another one. And I just watched a movie called Oregon Trails, starring Zoe Day Grand Mason. Why the 6 names in one? I don't get it. I don't get why your parents did this to you. No. Olivia Grace Applegate and Sam Trammell. First of all, as you can tell, or you're about to tell, it's very hard right now finding a good movie to watch. There was Blue Beetle and some other crap in the theater. I chose not to watch those, all right? For good reasons. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I don't care, all right? So here we are. First of all, for real, whatever happened to Eva Mendes? All right, let's put it like this. If actors and actresses had superpowers pertaining to their acting skills, her power would, don't get offended by how I say this, all right? I come from a good place with this, all right? It would be the ability to be sexy no matter what role she plays. I'm sorry, no, every movie she's in, she somehow maintains the sensuality about herself. All right, and I'm not ragging on her actual acting skills. I'm just saying that's a very good power to have, a skill to have. All right, even if she's on her deathbed in a role, in the hospital, on life support, she still manages to look all right. I don't know how she does it. Okay, in 2001, Training Day came out, all right? And she was the famous, not really that famous, but she was the side chick to Alonzo, you know, the crazy guy played by Denzel Washington. Yeah, she was that chick, all right? And she had the kid and everything. Why, this guy had a whole family at home. Crazy, insane, but as much as people hated his character, all the guys were cheering him on like, you go, Alonzo. We hate your guts, but you go, Alonzo. We see you. We see you. All right. Then in 2002, All About the Benjamins came out. This is a comedy starring Mike Epps and Ice Cube. And of course, she played Mike Epps' girlfriend. All right. And whatever scheme and scam he was down for, she was down for. And I think at one point I was wondering if she was going to play him over or mess him over in the movie. Can't remember, haven't seen the movie in a long time, so I can't recall. But I'm sure it went something like that. All right? Still looked hot doing it. And in 2003, Too Fast, Too Furious came out. That was her first entry into the Fast and Furious franchise. All right, and she looked good doing it. She was in other ones as well. Can't remember her role because she looked the best in Too Fast and Too Furious. See how that works? It's all how she's looking, how sexy she's looking in these roles. She does it well. That's all you see in the camera is her. All right. Then within that same year, Out of Time came out. Another movie with her and Denzel, you know. So I guess this time the tables are turned because he's a good guy, and so is she. All right. I don't remember what her role exactly was. I think she was a cop too, or something like that. But all I know is she looked good doing it. She looked good doing it. It's amazing how skilled she is at that alone. Okay. Yeah. I'm just being honest here. All right. Then in 2005, Hitch came out. We all know this movie now, so you can't say you don't know it. All right. And she was the love interest to Will Smith's character, Hitch. Of course, she's the one that made him say, okay, I'm going to test my skills out that I teach everybody else on this one woman because she's that hot. All right. That was the whole point. That was the whole point to the film. She looked good being pursued throughout the whole movie. Okay? Then in 2008, The Spirit came out. Now, a lot of people probably don't remember this movie. I don't blame you. This came out after the whole hoopla about Sin City, which was a extremely better, entirely better movie than The Spirit. But the whole point is that the only people you're going to remember in The Spirit are her and Samuel L. Jackson's crazy ass character or weird ass character, whatever. All right. And for her reason, it was that she just looked hot playing that role. She was the woman that came in the office talking about, I need somebody. I got somebody you need to look for. You know, that kind of girl in a mystery movie, in a detective movie. She was that girl, and she looked good doing it. It was a perfect role for her. All right, hands down. Then in 2010, The Other Guys came out. Hilarious comedy. If you haven't seen this, please go see this. Will Ferrell's in it. Mark Wahlberg's in this, and she is playing Will Ferrell's wife. She's very supporting, understanding, and she always lets that man know, don't be embarrassed or ashamed about your past, as Gator, the pimp. All right. And this might be her role where she's the least sexiest, because she was all that sexiness was restrained by the clothes she was wearing. All right, but we knew, men knew what was going on under the little housewife dress, like she's from I Love Lucy show or something. We know what was going on. We know what's going on. We know what's happening there. All right, and so they couldn't fool us. And I guess that was the funny part about that. We knew how good she really looked, but she downplayed it so low on this one. It still didn't work. And now my question is, will she ever act again? I think after she got married to Ryan Gosling or something like that, and so I guess she's just trying to chill out right now or whatever, or be a stay-at-home mom or I don't know what she's doing, but she ain't acting. All right, and she has to get back into the acting skills. All right, the acting level that on a movie or something. I want to see her come back. All right, and prove to me you're more than just a sexy face. And she is. I'm not saying she's not, but do something a little different if you do come back. But I still want you to come back. All right. And now let's get to that review. Oregon Trails. For those who don't know, for those who are not aware, I really don't blame you if you're not aware. It took some digging to find this film. You know that, right? Yeah, I had to go into Google Movies or whatever, and now you got to pay through Paramount for that. All right, so that came with a price, and that's how I found this movie. So if you don't know about Oregon Trails, yeah, I'm gonna give you a pass this time. All right, don't worry. Next time won't be so easy. Oregon Trails. It's pretty much about this family with a daughter named Abby. They go out in the woods, survival. It's back in the Western days, the old Wild West. So, everybody's out for themselves, man. Families are tight-knit, close-knit families. So they're out there surviving, doing their thing, scrapping up for food. And they find this village with murdered bodies, slaughtered bodies all over the place. There's one woman who's just nailed to this board like somebody I don't want to say. All right. They come over, they help her off the board, take her hands out, heal her up, take her back to their house, their huts. And it's unfortunately a trap. All right. And these banditos, these bandits come in and they kill the entire family except for Abby. And now Abby must find out why she was set up like this. How will she get out of this predicament through for these crazy band of thieves and killers? All right. And that's the whole point to the movie. All right. Positives. This film is extremely violent. If nothing else, there's gonna be blood. There's gonna be death, killing, stabbing. just brutal. These victims are just treated like rag dolls. I'm not exaggerating. They are disrespected in the most disrespectful way possible. Women, children, it doesn't matter. Old people, they all get it in this film, all right? There's blades coming through people's chests and through other people. There's people's hands getting messed up. Private parts getting blown apart, all right? You name it, they got it, all right? And the villains, that's a whole other story to add on to the violence, all right? But that's a whole other category down the line, all right? That's coming later on, all right? Another positive, the unintentional humor. I didn't expect to laugh at a movie like this. There was a little problem at the beginning of the movie, which I'll get into later on for the negatives. So where I was just not expecting, or my expectations dropped low after suffering through that. So then when the villains came in, the bandits on their horses, they were all having this old Western style yo mama session on one of the bandits, all right? And so everybody got their feeling on how they had sex with this guy's mother and blah, blah, blah. And it was funny and ha, 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 ha. And honestly, I would not be picking on that guy. But anyways, they chose to do that. They chose to do that. And it was actually funny. The jokes were actually funny. You know, there are other parts of a movie like this, but this was just the most in-your-face, obvious part right here, okay? Last positive. There's a character called Riz, all right? That's the guy I just mentioned that was getting ragged on by the other bandits. Riz is nothing to play with. Let's put it like that. Riz might be the best thing about this movie, all right? He is the center of all the good violent parts. He's all about it. Let's just note one thing. Riz is a great trick. It's great trick parts coming back. Kind of, quick there, huh? Because Riz, he can't feel pain. That's one thing you gotta remember. His character cannot feel pain for one thing. All right. So, and he mentions this early in the movie, and I was like, well, this is going to be something we're going to have to remember, got to think about or keep in our heads for the rest of the film. All right. Just don't forget, guys, this guy can't feel pain. And you guys are ragging on this guy, doing your old Western time yo mama jokes. Like he can't do anything to you. All right. So let's keep that in mind. Riz, by the end of this movie, you're going to be rooting for Riz. Well, compared to the other people in his group, because he has a lot of good points about how they're doing things and how they're being a little soft on the victims. It's just from a villain's point of view, okay? Don't think that I'm agreeing with what they're doing, but they're being a little soft on how they choose their victims, how they treat their victims, so on and so on. If you want to get things done, you got to be a little more hard up. And he had a point. As a villain, he had a point. And he just expressed that point in a very violent way, as you'll see. So I kind of felt this coming. I felt the mutiny of Riz coming. All right. The boss was the guy played by Sam from True Blood, right? The dog boy. And it's good to see him acting again. But yes, the boss was played by him, which was a very horrible boss. All he did was have sex and think about sex, and that's the other head was thinking through the entire time that he was around. All right, so it was time for somebody else to take the reins in this group, and who other than Riz. All right, kudos to that actor and his character. Negatives. Remember I said I had a little issue with how the movie started out? That's because the movie was dragging so damn hard when it started off. When it first started off, it was to the point I was almost about to shut the movie off or turn it off and just watch something else, because all they were doing was staring at each other for a long time and getting things set up, and the dad would yell at the kids for a minute and tell them to do this and that and get this and get that and get the stew for your ma and all this. I was like, I don't care about any of this, and you're taking too long doing it. So if this is what the movie's going to be about the entire time, it's a no for me. I'm going to have to pass. But eventually the violence started and I was reeled right back into the film. So thank goodness violence. Thank goodness violence exists in the movie. All right. Or else this was almost about to be a non-existent review. All right. Another negative. The overacting was completely unbearable from the beginning. And let me say something about the actor that played Abby, actress. The only facial expression she had was her face looked distraught the entire movie. Like she was in the middle of a bowel movement and couldn't get it out. She always looked like that. I don't know why. So that's just not even the beginning of what the acting was about. Every time someone got hurt, it was a bunch of overexpressed and it was like it was getting tiresome and irritating. It was, yes, we understand you're in pain. We understand you're in pain, but you're overdoing it. You're overdoing it. Please, I can't believe I'm saying that. Yes, it's good but that's the one you choose. Was the pain part to be the good acting? Because I'll tell you right now, other than that, they didn't overact anything else. Everything else was kind of a little bit underacted. All right, so the acting just chose a weird spot for them to jump the gun with, jump over the level they should have went with that. Okay. Third negative. There's a character in here named Eric. All right. It's a husband of a black couple who kind of gets involved in this, whether they want it or not. You can't be nice to everybody. All right. And it's mentioned it's not really mentioned until it's too late that this guy doesn't carry weapons. He doesn't carry a gun on a mission where you're going to totally need it. He was trying to help out one of the victims of the little bandits, not a victim, but the kidnappee or kidnapped women. And so he sets out on this mission, leaves his pregnant wife at the house. Wow. And no gun, no weapon, not a knife, nothing, because he was in the war and he's seen too many people go and come and go, and it's too much blood on his hand, blah, blah, blah. Very dumb. It's dumb. I don't care how many bodies you've seen go. You're on a mission that could get you killed, bro. You need some artillery. The villain even told you to your face, you are dumb. And I agreed with the villain wholeheartedly. All the way. I had no issue agreeing with that. That was the stupidest thing you could have done. All right? It's baffling. It doesn't make any sense. And I still don't see the point of them doing this. Even watching the entire movie throughout, it's just like, why was this even a decision that was made? All right, you could have at least put a knife on this guy, like a blade or something. Like say, oh, I don't shoot anymore, but I stab, and then that could have been like I didn't see that coming. No, didn't do any of that. So he was pretty much helpless throughout almost the majority of the movie. He was no help. He was no help. Why? All right. Last negative before I go on an extreme rant. Too many non-logical decisions made in this film, like the one I just finished mentioning. But besides that, and a million others, here's what I want to point out. Here's what I want to put on the forefront. Remember our good villain Rice, or Riz, or whatever his name is? When he's revealing that he can't feel pain. He's always been like that. He was born like this, I assume. He's doing some kind of, like forge work. You forge a hoof or whatever you're doing. Now, when you're doing stuff like that, blacksmith work. He's doing blacksmith work with no gloves because he can stand the heat, right? He can't feel it. And the guy asks, well, why don't you wear gloves? And it shows the gloves right next to where he's working. If you can't feel pain and you already know this, why do you even have gloves? Why would he have gloves sitting right there? It doesn't make sense. That was so stupid. I can see the quality of this movie and why it was what it was with that situation happening like that. All right, just an idiotic decision on their behalf to even show the gloves. What was the point? All right. So I have to give this an I. Yes, I'm giving this an I, and it's to be obvious why. All right, it was an up and down roller coaster, mostly down, but the only thing that kept it up was Riz himself. That one lone villain that we didn't expect. Well, I expected something to happen, but some might not expect anything to happen. He really kept it up. He really carried the movie on his back. Some movies are as good as their villain. This was one of them. Press that like button, share this. You better subscribe.